All right, coming in at number 57 on our Locked On Senators NHL draft rankings, we are going to the Norwegian Professional League for Stian Solberg, who's playing with Vålerenga, with is apparently like the Cadillac of the Norwegian teams. He's already playing pro hockey. Heck, he is in the World Championships, just wrapped up 7 games there, 2 goals, 1 assist. 6'2", left shot defenseman, 194. Your thoughts on Solberg?
Solberg, very interesting player. It's almost hilarious, Ross, that we're going from Galvis to Solberg because you couldn't put 2 players together that are more different than these guys. Like Galvis, little guy, 150 pounds, shifty little water bug out there. Stian Solberg is the definition of a throwback defenseman. I've got him at 6'2", 201 pounds. He's a big, big boy, and he is not afraid to throw his weight around. Ross, some of my notes here, he's touted as the most violent player in the draft. He can reverse hit with the best of them.
Dude, I saw that a bunch. He might get called for a few interferences in the National League with that one.
But I love it watching a guy dump the puck in Solberg's corner and is like, all right, this guy's laid the body on me all year. I'm going to lay into him. And they're like charging at him. They're like, I'm going to destroy this guy. He does a shoulder check. Oh, buddy's coming. Boom! Reverse hit. And the guy goes flying. And Solberg hangs onto the puck. And finally, one of my notes was, has a hip check that Mark Mathot would be proud of. This guy knows how to play a physical game.
I'm excited to see Solberg's next step in his development. I think next year is critical for him. He's planning on playing in the SHL, so that's going to be a huge step up from where he's been playing in Norway. And hopefully these World Championships give him that opportunity to prove to himself that he can elevate among higher competition, because that's the question for Stian Solberg, who comes in a very tight range. And this is our first prospect that we've profiled out of 24 where it is a 6 out of 7 of our rankings have them in theirs. Bob McKenzie at 45, Craig Button at 45, Chris Peters at 49, Scott Wheeler at 54, EP at 55, and McKean's at 58. So that is how tight the range is. It averages out at 51.0. I'm just going to say it goes 45th because Bob McKenzie and Craig Button, when they agree on it, it's like the verbal meme, those 2 ripped arms coming together right in the middle and holding hands. But at the Men's Worlds, 3 points. In his pro league in Norway, 42 games, 15 points. Had a huge Game 7 in a round of the playoffs where he had 2 goals. They win by 1. So there is an offensive pop to his game. It doesn't come out all the time, but 15 points, 42 games ain't bad. And violent is the right way to describe him. So I think a team's going to jump on him. Like, we've seen some mock drafts and some rankings where it's a little out of hand, too far into the first round, but I could see him go end of the first round. I could see a team 25 or later fall in love with what the potential could be for Stian Solberg as like a Ryan McDonough type defenseman, I think.
Yeah, I don't know if I'm buying that, Ross, but we have to mention this because the irony is ridiculous. You mentioned 6 out of 7 of our entities ranked him. The lone entity that omitted him from their rankings was Corey Pronman. And we just talked on today's episode of the mock draft The Athletic did. Corey Pronman has the San Jose Sharks selecting Solberg 14th overall in their mock draft. Like,
Great.
You look at these rankings, and he's in the mid 40s, low 50s here. 14th overall, Corey Pronman selected him, and he didn't even rank him in his own rankings. So, like, that's a wild thing to me. I'd love to ask Corey about the thought process there, but that has to be mentioned. Now, look, I'm a big Norway guy. Beautiful country, great people.
Big fjord guy?
Oh, dude, fjords are incredible. I'm not even kidding.
I've seen some fjords.
You have to go to Norway if you can afford taking a vacation there. Very expensive for tourists, but it's absolutely gorgeous. The hockey is not where you would want your 14th overall selection playing most of his career, Ross. You and I did an exercise before the pod. ranking the pro leagues around the world. And I think we landed on Norwegian Pro League as being the 9th ranked league.
Well, he's getting out of there right now. And not that it's the worst place. I mean, you grew up there, all that. The CEO of the team says that upwards of 15 NHL teams are expected to watch this guy play at a, a private, or what do they have here?
Like
It's a translated article, by the way, but yeah, it's a showcase. And I'm just looking at all these write-ups of them, like defense. That's what we've been talking about. All these defensemen, they have so much room to grow defensively. For him, it's the opposite. And I think a team wants to teach offense to a player who's already responsible defensively than the other way around.
Yeah, definitely. And that's fair. But just what I'm trying to get at here, I'm not trying to diss Norway. I'm just trying to be realistic here, is that everything you're seeing him do now, I know he has world championship experience, which you're going to clap back with, Ross, and that's fair. 7 games, those small sample size.
I think I'm going to bet you that he goes in the first round.
I'm down.
We're going to make some side bets as we head to Vegas.
Yeah, maybe find it on FanDuel as well. We'll see. But Ross, unfortunately, what you're seeing him do on all these highlights is against low competition. And I know that article that you sent me over. What's the guy's title? CEO of the Norwegian League or something?
Yeah, no idea.
Yeah, but a guy that's heavily invested in Norwegian hockey mentions that, hey, this is a great league. This is a great team. We've been able to beat European teams in the past. And I'm sure that's all true. Again, this is not a Norway diss track here. But when all you have is Norwegian competition, it just gives me pause to be like, how is this guy going to translate going to the SHL? When he gets drafted, going to the AHL, how are those things going to happen? Interestingly enough, the Regina Pats do hold the CHL rights. I'm going to go ahead and say he's not going to go that route. This guy in that article, Ross, Stian, had a lot of pride playing in Norway, and I'm sure he wants to show his Swedish neighbors that he's got it going on and he can hang in their league as well. This guy's too much of a wild card for me to be excited about him. And I'm just not quite convinced his skills are going to translate enough to higher competition.
I just think it's a very low risk, high ceiling type player that has a potential to pop offensively with a great shot. I think he just needs to improve his decision making when it comes to his offense. I think a probably realistic player would be, and I want to give credit to it. I just saw it in one of the articles I read this morning that mentioned Alexander Romanov, where sometimes he almost takes himself out of the play to make a big hit. But Stian Solberg is the type of player where the other team's got him circled on their depth chart because you have to be aware when he's on the ice, when you're crossing over the blue line. So dare I ask you then, Pilsy, where you have Stian Solberg for a potential Sens draft pick?
So I've got him at 2.5 stars, Ross. I had him at 2 earlier. We talked about it. I decided bumping up to 2.5. Not that that's a big deal, but look, here's the thing. I love the style of hockey Solberg plays. I think that is a style that NHL teams covet. You heard it. He had 15 teams looking at him and interested in him. Corey Pronman has him going 14th overall. I'm not downplaying the skill set this guy has. Just as far as it goes for the Sens, you don't need another left shot defenseman. You don't need a guy that's going to take time to get here. In my opinion, it's going to take time. And like, I don't want the Sens drafting this type of player right now. If you're looking for a physical left shot defenseman, I think you can find a veteran that'll do that for you. And you can find a guy in free agency. I don't think you need to draft a guy like that right now.
I would be comfortable at 39 or later. I'm mid to late second round.
Even regardless of what they do with those 2 picks, like let's say they take one or 2 left-hand shot guys, then you still take them?
No. Okay. You can only take 1 lefty in the first 3 picks if you're Ottawa, but I do like him in that range. And I do actually believe that he's going to be a last 2 picks in the first round type guy. That's where I think he's going to go in the draft, but he comes in at number 57 on our Locked On Senators NHL draft rankings. For more prospect profiles, go check us out on YouTube, Locked On Senators.